Hi, I'm Demi Vaughn for the Power of the Patient Project. My guest today is Dr. Michael Nuccitelli. Dr. Nuccitelli is a licensed psychologist and author of the cyberbullying, cyberstalking, and cybercriminal minds concept called iPredator. He has his own group psychology practice in New York City and is considered one of the world's leading experts on the psychological effects of cyberbullying and how to counter attempts by others to ruin reputations and the mental health of victims of cybercrime. It is this effect on a victim's mental health that we want to focus on today. So welcome, Dr. Michael Nuccitelli.
Good day, Ms. Vaughn, and hopefully all your viewers are both internet safe and COVID safe.
Right. So first, can you explain the concept behind iPredator?
Yes, iPredator is a concept that I originally thought of roughly, didn't write it, don't enjoy writing too much, back in 2008, 2009. As your viewers will know, I mean, Steve Jobs in 2007, I believe, came up with the iPhone, the lowercase I. So for me, in 2008, 2009, I started to think, where better the criminal, the depraved, the pedophile to go to hide their identity would be cyberspace. So hence, was the birth of iPredator. And then in 2010 is when I actually authored the concept. And what iPredator is really a cyber psychology, online safety, online aggressor concept that includes 8 different types of online aggressors. I can give you those 8 types, or we can just proceed.
Yeah, if you'd like to give us those 8 types, that would be great.
Sure. Those 8 types are cyberbullies, cyber harassers, cyber stalkers, internet trolls, cyber criminals, cyber terrorists, online child predators, and the most depraved of the 8 are online child pornography consumers and distributors. And those 8 typologies are what makes up what I call the global concept of iPredator.
Nice. I feel like you mentioned like internet trolls and everything like that. I feel like they're like really rampant right now with like social
Oh,
media
goodness.
being, yeah, with social media being so huge. I feel like internet trolls are like a really big thing right now.
Well, and please, anybody is welcome to go to my educational website. It's all public domain and free. But several years ago, we all know about what is called the classic internet troll. The classic internet troll, which they still exist, but real quickly, the classic internet troll used to, again, roughly 5, 7, 10 years ago, would go online in commenting sessions in social media. Their job was to proverbially aggravate and provoke you, and then they would give themselves the high five, thinking that it stroked their ego. That is the classic internet troll. Well, what I introduced a couple of years ago is what I call the predatory troll, and they are far, far more dangerous because the predatory troll, they're not just looking to provoke and anger you. And sometimes in groups, they will go after your social media accounts, your job, your family, your church. They will go after every element of your life, to do what's called character assassination, to totally discredit your online reputation and integrity. And really, it can cause a lot of damage, particularly if you're going to apply for a job, going into college. Now, as we know, both jobs and college really are not supposed to be doing Google searches on you, but what do? They do Google searches. And, predatory trolls, if they're good, they can end up on first page, totally defaming your character.
Yeah, that's crazy. So my second question was kind of like touching on what you already said about like internet trolls, like ruining your life and like cyberbullying, ruining your reputation and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you can like expand a little bit more on how exactly that happens or
Almost
how,
certainly.
yeah,
Well, let
just,
me say the
mhm.
first thing of the 8 types of iPredator, cyberbullying is the only one that is pediatric, which is child-on-child cyber attacks. For some reason, since the beginning of the information, cyberbullying is considered a pediatric problem. It doesn't involve adults. The adult form of cyberbullying would either be cyber harassment, internet trolling, and then cyber stalking. And then of those three, cyber stalking is the most severe, because what true cyber stalking includes is a direct threat to your physical safety, whether it's indirect or direct. It's using information communication technology to threaten you physically, and that could seriously turn into something dangerous if a person is not, careful. So there are three criteria to assess, and it's very easy to know whether you're an iPredator. One is the use of information communication technology, which is all forms of electronic digital devices. Two is self-awareness of causing harm. Now, that's a little bit tricky to understand, because if you have somebody that, let's say, is developmentally disabled, or somebody that suffers from a true psychiatric illness, it's a little difficult to know whether they're truly self-aware. They know the harm they're causing other online users. The third criteria is what I call cyber stealth. Now, what cyber stealth is it's online deception, but it's a little bit different. It's online deception, but its goal is to use deception, disinformation to manipulate and control you. Using cyber stealth, the iPredator may not want to be identified, or they may want to be identified. It all depends on the individual. If I'm your ex-husband, I may want you to know that I am harassing you online. So those are the three criteria that apply. And if you meet those criteria and you do it repeatedly, not just one time, you are an iPredator.
Wow. So what can you say, what kind of effect can being bullied online have on a person's mental health, would you say?
Well, great question, Ms. Vaughn. We are in the information age, which all of us, it began roughly in the early 80s. It's a period of history, just like any period of history. And we are at the beginning of this period of history. So as I say often, is 50 years, 100 years down the road, they're going to look back at us and they're going to laugh, because they're going to say there were no laws, there were no guidelines, and people were able to treat each other under what is called the proverbial freedom of speech. Now, mind you, I am a huge proponent of the First Amendment, but I do believe in hate speech, and I do believe that when you defame and you character assassinate somebody online, you can cause them serious psychological trauma. So I have volunteered for the last decade after working on the weekends. I can't tell you how many, but as I said, I have volunteered helping many, many people. And I can tell you that being cyber attacked, whatever the 8 typologies are, it causes serious stress, serious anxiety, and a lot of anguish. So people that I have helped are truly traumatized from being targeted.
Yeah, definitely. So I know that you've developed a risk assessment for being vulnerable to being cyberbullied. Could you explain how that assessment works and
Yeah,
why
well,
you...
on at the website, I have developed actually 28 different checklists and inventories that are free to download. They're all in PDF form, and they include cyberbullying, whether you want to assess or, to inquire whether, you and or your child is a cyberbully. It also assesses risk of being cyberbullied. So that there are 2 cyberbullying inventories and 2 cyberbullying checklists. And their goal is to educate an individual and to help people to understand what it means to be cyberbullied as it relates to being a child.
Okay. And finally, how can folks counter cyberbullying and cyberstalking attempts by others? And what should a person do if he or she suspects that they've become a victim?
Well, the first thing is, most importantly, is the less personal information you share online, the better. That's clear. You know, it obviously never share your social security number. Only, you know, disseminate and divulge financial information if you're dealing with, you know, SSL, you know, high reputation, whether it be Amazon and all the, you know, the e-commerce sites that have reputation. So never give out financial information unless you are close to 100% sure that it's a reputable place that you're engaging in commerce with. Number two, which is most important, and as I said, as a volunteer, is never never share, never post, publish, or disseminate sexually themed content. Now, in the information age, there are only three ways that we can manage information. We can compile information, we can disseminate information, and we can exchange information. They're the only three ways that we can deal with information. But when it comes to being online, if you want to have a low probability of being attacked, it is to never divulge, never share anything that is sexually themed. And even if you think you're in love, I mean, God bless love. I call myself a romantic man. I'm a Scorpio. But I can tell you, and thank God, I understand now the potential problems. Even if you're in love with somebody and you're sexting, which is the exchange of sexually themed text messaging, providing images, oftentimes is people in love will do video with one another. Now, that may sound kind of innocent, and what's the big deal, Dr. Mike? What do you think? Well, God forbid if that relationship ends and you end up in an adversarial relationship. Two of the biggest trends right now, which are going to continue, that are incredibly traumatic for the target, is revenge porn and sextortion. And both of those involve sexually themed content, and it's incredibly traumatizing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there about the whole sexting thing and everything like that, because I feel like that's a huge thing right now too. Well, I mean, it has been, but I still feel like it's like still, rising with social media. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share on this topic?
Well, I guess what we didn't talk about today is a subconcept of iPredator called odor, which is offline distress dictates online response. And that is certainly at the website as well if you'd like to read about. But really what odor is in a nutshell, very quickly, because we don't have much time, is that the way my offline life is going, I believe, I can't prove it yet, has a direct influence on how we compile, exchange, and disseminate information online. Odor. Offline distress dictates online response. So if you are stressed, if you're depressed, if you're angry, if you just got in a big fight with a loved one, if you're having financial difficulties, whatever the external stressors may be, and if there's a lot of them, I believe it can have a direct impact in terms of what you do online. Again, I can't prove it, but due to odor, I believe the more angry you are, the more stressed you are, the more depressed you are, the more psychologically isolated you are, the higher risk you are at in engaging in high-risk online activity. So that is the most important thing I can offer your viewers, is to always take a look real quick. And I'm not saying self-psychoanalyze, but understand your offline demeanor, how you're feeling offline has a direct influence to what you're seeing, what you're doing, and what you're interpreting online. And that's very important.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Well, thank you, Dr. Mike, for taking the time out to talk to us about iPredator. It was really great learning more about cyberbullying and cyberstalking and reputations, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn.
Thank you. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.